is up, beautiful people? My name is Shanis, and you are listening to the Art of Growing Together podcast. Welcome to Ep.4, where we'll be talking about detachments. So if you caught my last episode, we were talking about attachments and attachment styles, and we can talk about that all day. I hope you did a little bit of research before you made it to this video. If not, it's okay, you still have time. But I know when it comes to attachments, it's a huge topic, and it's a huge thing when it comes to accepting yourself and, accepting what you have been accepting just because you felt like you should have accepted it or just because you felt like it's what you deserve. So if you made it this far, I am glad that you did, and I'm grateful for you. I'm glad that you're here to be listening to this second half, which we'll be talking about detachments. So yes, let's just get into it. My cord is just everywhere. Oh my gosh. But yes, detachments. I feel like when it comes to detaching from things, this is where the true testimony comes in. All right? And it's like, you may think that it's not going to be, hard or challenging or, after you get to that point where it's like, oh, I've been accepting this, I have to do better. I'm just gonna do better. And then you start doing better, and then you start feeling better, and you're just, no one can touch you. You're on this peak of I've done it. I'm no longer attached to these people. I'm no longer attached to these parts of myself. I'm no longer attached to these things. I'm no longer attached to the things that happened to me, whatever it is. You're on that peak. You're on that mountaintop. And then here comes that true testimony. God, the universe, whatever you believe in, spirit, somebody is going to send you a messenger. Now, I like to call these messengers just because it helps with my attachment style, and I don't know, I get attached to characters. I'm a character attacher. The idealist. So for me, I like to, keep them in a category of these are messengers. These are people who are sent into your life, into your energy field, to put everything that you just found out, everything that you just learned, everything that you're just like, yeah, I'm not going to do that anymore, it's going to get put to the test. All right? The people are going to come back one last time. And I'm laughing because it is so annoying, but it's like acceptance. Acceptance feels so good. It's like they're going to come back one last time. You have to do the right thing the next time. Someone new is going to come around too to someone new, someone different. This is like in the case of attaching to relationship styles or whatever. Someone new, they're going to look new, they're going to feel new, they're going to have new everything, different everything, not even anywhere near close to the same person. But they're going to do the same stuff. And you're going to have to see it all over again and know exactly what to do when that chance arises for you to make that decision. And again, these are the true testimonies because it's not easy. It's not easy. You thought it was. You thought the hard part was just pulling up all of that disgusting trauma that you never wanted to relive. But no. Now it's like, we're gonna just throw on a little bit of extra salt on those open wounds. And we're gonna see, can you stand the burn? Will you know what to do? Will you just sit there and let it burn and let it hurt and let it just keep festering? Or will you know exactly what to do to clean it out and close that wound for good? Those are the true testimonies. And again, that can look like anything because attachment can be to anything. It could literally be to, your excessive or just excessiveness of doing things. If you're somebody who feels like I have to do everything in accession, I have to go big or go home, Well, the universe might send you a message or might send you some type of situation to where you're going to have to go home and feel the humility in order to put it to the test, in order to fight that battle for yourself. And it's so humbling. It's so humbling. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. I swear, none of this is easy. I swear I can talk about this all day, but dealing with it is a whole different thing. Like, I can not act, but I can say all of this, but no one will ever understand how it looked in my life. You know what I mean? So it might sound like I'm, just saying it like it's nothing, but trust me, it's not easy at all. You know what I mean? To accept what's coming to you as like, here's my testimony, here's my chance to show myself, to show the universe, to show everyone, to prove to whatever that I can do this. I am no longer accepting the things that I felt like I should have accepted. Someone's going to give you that same exact amount, and you're going to have to say no. You're going to have to say no. That's the part of growth. That's the part of growth. And it's like, it brings you back to that little like inner child wound. Again, you're at a state at that point, you're at a state where all your wounds are open, but it's like, I've done it. I've seen it all. I understand it all, and no one can tear me down now. Like, no one can do that to me ever again. Someone's gonna try, and you can't lose your cool. You can't lose your cool. You can't just go back on everything that you just learned or that you just said, because as soon as you do, you're gonna go through that whole cycle over again. It's gonna start from day one. You're not gonna just take 2 steps back. No, you're gonna go all through the merry-go-round if you missed that chance to get off. It's so not easy. And again, the humility is real. The acceptance is real. But you can't be hard on yourself. You can't be, hard on the universe or hard on God or feel like, why me type. You just kind of have to just be like, I understand. And it's okay. And who knows? Maybe in that understanding, maybe in that accepting, the healing process or the journey or the whole loop-de-loop is going to go by a lot quicker, because you're not going to even be focused on the things that you were focused on before when you were so attached to it. It's like, it's happening again, but it's okay. I know I'll get through it. I know I'll have my chance to get through it. And I know I'll make the right decision. Like this life thing, guys. It's so cool, but it's so fragile. It's so cool, but it's so fragile. It's like you can get everything and then you can have nothing. Someone can have everything and then can have nothing. You know what I mean? It's like you have access to all of this. You have access to whatever you want. But if you're still attaching yourself to the things that you felt like you deserved in those moments, if you felt like, oh, I'm still living in this state because I'm so attached to, my whole life here, and I feel like even though everyone's saying, you can go out and have a better life if you, went to college or went overseas for a year or did whatever you, secretly would be great at, but you're just telling yourself that, no, it's because I can't lose whatever. It's like, those moments are real life moments. To go out and take that chance, those are the true testimonies of understanding detachment. You are not showing yourself or showing the world or showing God that you're understanding the detachment until you prove it. Until you put the actions to the thoughts, to the words, to the poems, to the cries, to the tears, to whatever you had to do to detach mentally, physically, emotionally. You have to do it in reality. You have to do it in reality, because that's what all this is all about. You creating the life that you want, it comes from within. But in order for your outside energy to match that, you have to be willing to do it. You have to be willing to do it in this reality, in this world. And it's not easy. It's really not easy. But again, it's taking it step by step. We're going step by step here. I don't want to make these podcasts too long because I know that they're heavy. I know that they, might not be the easiest to hear, or they might, cause you to think about them, later on in the day, because it's like, dang, was I really, or was this something that it's like, that's what I want people to do. Like, I want you to go home and think about this, and I want you to think about this later in the day, because we all can relate to all of these topics that I talk about on here, and it's not just one thing. It's not just, one occurrence that could happen to one person or one group of people. It's like, this is something that us as human beings can all collectively understand, that this is what we are here to do. We're here to grow. We're here to evolve. We're here to elevate. We're here to be better human beings. For what purpose, we'll see in the future. Maybe the only purpose is just for this reality to just be better. Maybe it's just that, So all you have to do is just leave your mark and not be an asshole. I knew I was gonna cuss eventually. I said I wasn't going to. Anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Again, I can talk about this for hours, but I'm trying so hard not to make these topics too long. Let me know if y'all want these to be longer, because I can make them longer. I can. And if you have any questions about detachment, and just, if you want me to go more into the process of detachment, or I kind of feel like I didn't even do an example. Let me do a quick example before I close out. I feel like one example, I know the last episode, my example was for my weight loss. So I want to do something different, just to kind of give you guys a different perspective to different attachment styles. But another thing that I was very attached to was how people perceived me. And again, this could be a whole different topic. But I was very attached to how I was being perceived by people. I felt like I had to always look a certain way, be a certain way, and do all the things that version of me would do. That, again, we could be in a whole nother episode with that, because I could talk about that for years. But that attachment came from, just having the lifestyle that I had. Like, I grew up in a household where, I was kind of like the child where I didn't really get in trouble that much, and my mom would kind of like selectively say little things about it whenever my siblings got in trouble. And then, whenever it was time to like, what's it called, like gossip about the family, or like, showboat about what all your kids are doing, you would always be like, yeah, she's on honor roll and she don't ever get in trouble, she's always doing the right thing. And it's like, I was always known as that, I was always perceived as that, and I wanted to keep being that. I didn't want to be, in the same boat as my siblings, because, I would feel bad, because, they were still great too, but it's like, I felt like that was like one of the only things, or like not one of the only things, but one of the biggest reasons of why I would even be brought up at certain times, or why, because like I said, my living situation, it was kind of strange. We're not going to go into it, but it was a dynamic where, I felt loved. I felt like we had each other back. But when it came to my parent, it was just kind of like, this love is estranged, because I feel like I'm loving you, but then I'm accepting so many things that I feel like, why do I have to accept as a child? But then I'm also like needing to do more to prove my love to you, or to make sure that I can live up to loving, to that amount of loving, things like that. So I became very attached to the idea of how I was perceived. And then, even with my dad, I ended up living with him for a few, and it was kind of the same thing. It's just like, well, you're my child who is the star student, the stellar student. And of course I had my things. I went through a huge rebellious phase. My siblings will probably call it my emo phase. My dad will definitely call it my emo phase. But it was so needed, because I needed to like break out of that so bad, like so bad. But the thing with that is, I kind of detached from it, but then I also got really depressed. And then I ended up kind of trying to like figure out who I was. And then I went to college. And then when I went to college, I was like, okay, I have to attach to some version of me for safety. And that was the version of me that I had to attach to, which is like that same version of me that was like, okay, before I was depressed. I was like, I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl doing all the right things, and I'm gonna be on honor roll again, and I'm gonna do all the right things again. I'm gonna have, like, it immediately came back. Like, immediately once I was, in a different situation, it was just like, all right, now I have to be, good. And I wasn't extremely attached to it as I was before, because again, I did have that period of detachment, but it took me a long time to fully detach from that, because I don't know, I feel like, one, I didn't really see it. Like I said, I wasn't as attached to it, so at that point, I didn't see it because I was just pushing it away. It was like I wasn't caring about how anybody, was viewing me when it came to my family. It was like, I'm just gonna be myself. I'm at college. I'm just gonna be posting myself in college. What can they say? Whether I'm doing the right thing or not, I'm in college. But I seen it outside of my family. That attachment started to leak into my real life, as it always do. And I seen it with my friends. I seen it, with myself, wanting to be that friend who never let anyone down. I was always the yes girl. I'm always the one who's like, oh yeah, I got your back. If you want to do that, of course. Had no backbone, had no opinion of my own. And if I did, I would barely mention it, just because I knew that, in that time, like, I had to stick to a level of safety for myself, and that's just what it was. That's just what it was looking like. And so it really wasn't into a point where I was just unhappy. I'm just like, why am I being this person to where I feel like I'm, like, performing in front of my friends every day just to, like, get along with them and do all the same things and, like, have places to go and do all this stuff. And I'm just like, no, like, something switched, and the detachment began to where I had to have that humility to just be like, girl, are you not, are you crazy, but like, why was you doing that? Like, why were you accepting that when you had no business doing that, when you were already understanding that you were doing that with your family, because you already went through your phase of detachment? Remember that emo phase? Like, it was just a whole thing. So yes, when I was in that point, or when I made it to that point, it was really just like, okay, I have to stand on that now. Like, I have to know that if I don't want to go anywhere, if I don't want to do something that's, like, not my vibe, or it's just like, I would rather not, I have to start expressing that. I have to start making that be clear and known, because one, that's the only way I can be true to myself, and two, that's the only way I can honestly make friends who can, like, understand who I am as well. And I actually lost all those friends. It's so funny. Oh my gosh, I lost all those friends. Literally, I mean, some of the people who, we kind of just branched off, and it wasn't any, like, animosity. It was no beef. It was just like, we started going in separate directions, as we should have. You have to just naturally let things happen the way they're supposed to, because we just weren't supposed to be that close. We just didn't have that much in common, truthfully. So when they found, their crowd of friends who wanted to go out more, and, wanted to have those drinking events and wanted to do all those things, and me, who's just like, I don't like to drink, and I would rather just chill and watch movies, and let's just go to the park, and go to on a hike, or go to the lake or something. I eventually found my people who I would actually eventually go and do those things with, but it took time. It started with that detachment. It started with understanding myself. It started with understanding what was needed, and again, that what was I referring you to? That, that time for inspired action, that time for you to get those testimonials. It's like, this is the true testimony for you to do that action that you have knowingly just been in the back of your mind, knowing that you have been figuring this out, working through this. Here is the time to put it to the test. And I did it. I was able to do it with, the friends who I wasn't as close with, very quicker, or like it happened, quicker or quickly, I would say. And then the friends who I was, closer with, or, there were other attachments, tied into that attachment, it was a lot more challenging. And so, it took a long time. It took probably like the rest of my college to really not be friends with any of those girls anymore and just understand like my type of people, and understand that I'm not going to find my type of people by not being myself. And I'm not going to, find my type of people by just accepting any type of person. So, no, for me. So that's just one other example of detachment and just understanding your attachment styles and just understanding how they can manifest into true life. And like I said, that was something that came from my family. Like how I was viewed, how I was, perceived, it came from my family. It came from my upbringing, and it wasn't everyone. I'm not going to put the blame on everyone or even, my parents. It was just like, it was so consistent that it was all around me consecutively. It wasn't just one person. It was literally like consecutively, this is what I understand. So, yeah. Now we can close out the podcast. And again, if you made it this far, I'm grateful for you. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're on your journey of healing, of learning, of understanding yourself, of becoming your best self as you should be. And I hope that you stick around. Click on a couple more episodes, and I will catch you in the next one. I love you guys. Bye.